Hi Flosstube, my name is Amy. This is X Stitching and Adventures, and I'm back today with kind of a special edition Flosstube. I'm not just going to talk about my progress and my acquisitions, but also I'm going to talk about the retreat that I went to a little over a week ago called Stitching on the River in Boise, and kind of do a brief retreat recap for that. We'll probably do that in the middle. I'm going to talk a little bit first about just kind of what I've been stitching on. I have had a couple of finishes. One of them was my retreat small piece that I did for the smalls exchange, so I no longer have that with me. I meant to kind of pop on and do a little like, here it is before, but I just ran out of time. So for that, I'll insert a picture like here somewhere of what that looked like, and I'll talk a little bit more about that when I talk about my progress. And then at the very end, we'll talk about adventures as always. I've had a few different exciting adventures since the last time I saw you, so that'll be fun. Let's first talk about progress. I have had a couple of finishes. One of them is almost fully finished. I just haven't put the little offset clips in the back of it yet because I cannot find my drill. I'm sure I put it in a safe space, you know, where I could easily access it next time, but I can't remember where the space is. So anyway, I have had a finish on Blood Fountain. This is a pattern from Night Spirit Studio, and it was on their Patreon. I'm not sure if it's available in their shop, but you could reach out to Sage and ask if not, because usually Sage does put them on the shop after a certain amount of time. So I was still able to access it on Patreon. If you join, I think it's only like $5 a month, and I did find it in there. But this is Blood Fountain. It's stitched on 14 count Aida with DMC, and this is DMC Etoile. I'll bring it in a little closer. I don't know that it will capture the sparkle. I don't have the best natural lighting right now because it is like 90 plus degrees here today, and I don't have AC. My house is over 100 years old. So I have like a window unit and a fan and a ceiling fan here. But part of keeping my house cool is looking like I'm a recluse all winter, like shutting all of the blinds, never opening the windows because it just heats up too much in here. And I did shut off the ACs. I'm going to be roasting a little bit while I'm filming this Flosstube, but you get ring light for today, even though the sun is still out. But yeah, this is Blood Fountain. The frame I was able to get from a local craft store. I can't remember which one. And I just felt like it really set it off very nicely. This is, although it looks kind of white, grayish white in this picture, it really is more of like a silvery gray. And I think it works really nicely together. So I'll put some offset clips on the back, and then it'll be good to go. Ready for spooky season or all year. Like, I don't really take down my seasonal pieces. I have a Christmas tree hanging in my Christmas tree cross stitch hanging in my craft room right now. So that was a finish. And then the other finish that I had here, I'm going to scoot this a little bit so I have room to put pictures right here, was from Sprouting Lupine. It was called Petrichor Nature Walk. Sorry, pardon the dirt bikes and motorcycles. They drive by all day, every day. But it was called Petrichor Nature Walk. It was part of their like nature series that they've been doing lately, and I loved stitching it. It was on 36 count vapors from Atomic Ranch, I think, maybe. I can't remember exactly the dyer of that one. And stitched with DMC as called for. I framed it in a frame that I had from Stash. Surprisingly, I've had that frame for probably over 10 years. It used to just have a little picture in it, and I had taken it off the wall a while back and just put it in my frame stash, and it worked really nicely. Initially, I wanted to finish it in on top of a wooden box and then felt line the box to keep scissors in, but I could not pull it together in time. I couldn't find the right materials every time I looked at the craft store, and I wasn't going to have enough time to make it that way and enough time to wait for materials to be shipped to me. So I ended up framing it, and then I made scissor fobs for the retreat for not only the person who received my small, but for my table mates as well. And so I'll put some pictures of those here. I just bought a bunch of beads from Joann's or Michael's, I can't recall who. and I experimented with wire. And so these were the first scissor fobs I've made with wire. And so they were pretty stiff, but I think they turned out really great. I went for a river inspiration. So I bought some that had like a lava rock bead, some that had kind of like an agate, kind of like a quartzy looking bead. And I just kind of put them all together, and I love how they turned out. So that was really fun. And then as part of my small, I also bought some chocolate rocks and put those in a jar and decorated the bag. It turned out really cute, and my the recipient seemed like she really liked it. So I was actually really enjoyed participating in the Smalls Exchange this time. I've been kind of skeptical over the last couple of retreats because my very first retreat that I did a Smalls Exchange at, I just felt like my piece wasn't as well received as maybe it could have been. And so I don't typically participate, but this one was overwhelmingly positive. And I'll talk a little bit more about it when I get to my retreat recap. So those were my 2 fully finished objects. I have been stitching a little bit. I did start a project with Sarah, Memphis Sarah E, and I am woefully behind on this project. Sarah has done a lot more, but I've had some obligation stitching to do lately, and I just haven't made a good start. But this is Garden Sampler, and I just have the tiniest little leaf. This is a Lugana from Color and Cotton. I think it's 32 count, called Old West. And it is a beautiful piece of fabric. It's actually reading a lot better in this floss tube than it did in the last one. Last floss tube, I showed you the frame that I have. Oh my gosh, let me get my cat out of this bag. I showed you the frame that I have for this piece. I just need to get stitching on it. Make some more progress. Check out Sarah's. She showed it on her floss tube, and it is looking fantastic. She's converting the leaves to a different kind of floss, and it's turning out beautiful. So I started that project, and then I had another new start. This is kind of an obligation stitching piece. Not really, nobody asked me to stitch it, but I decided to stitch a wedding sampler for a friend that's getting married in like a week and a half, so I better get it done. But this is just a pattern I bought off of Etsy from a Ukrainian designer. And it's I don't even think it has a name. It's just like a wedding sampler pattern. But this bow of leaves will run this way. And did I say that right? No, I didn't. It's bow, right? Bow of leaves? I don't know. It will run this way, and then there will be text in here with their names and their wedding date. And then there's another one that has flowers and leaves down here. And so it won't take me very long once I get working on it. Obligation stitching is hard. So I'm hoping to take this into the mountains this weekend when I'm camping and work on it a little bit more. But this is a wedding sampler piece, and I will hopefully have some pictures to show you of it next time. I don't know that I'll be able to show you the fully finished piece, as I'm hoping to have it ready to be gifted before their wedding. So there's that one. Let's see here, I'll put that back here. I'll show you my new start from the retreat when we talk about that at the retreat, but I'll show you the 2 pieces I worked on while I was at the retreat. Our guest designer was Annie from Dirty Annie Southern Style, and she brought a lot of her models in her trunk show with her, which was so fun because I got to see the model for this. And when I tell you, it was breathtaking. Like, you won't believe how stunning this model is. It was amazing. She stitched it on 32 count Nutmeg from Atomic Ranch. And so she stitched it with 2 strands, and really, I know I said this in my last floss tube, but that is the way to do this pattern. I did mine on 36 count. I'm still loving it, but man, oh man, the 2 strands really makes it pop. So that's what the design looks like. And this is where I am at currently. Here, I'm gonna pop this behind so that it shows up a little bit better. I worked a lot on the medallion here in the center at the retreat. So I got more silk lame braid into there and more of the browns. So you can really see the lion taking shape. This is gonna be the mane, and its feet down here. And then there is more of this petite silk lame braid that goes all the way around. So this golden that's popping there will show up more around it as I finish stitching it. This was a minder that I made with my mom and sister to gift to our table mates at the retreat. And they're just buttons that we bought off of Etsy and popped the backs off and added a magnet to. And they turned out so cute. But yeah, that's my progress on Venetian Lion. You can kind of see a little bit more of it up here. It still has a ways to go. Let's see. So I've still got the whole other side mirrored to finish once I finish that medallion. And then the pieces that are coming off of it here, plus the big bowl of flowers and the banner at the bottom. So it's a little bit slow going, but I am still loving this piece. Even despite, you know, wishing I had done it differently, I really am still enjoying it. Oh, and while I was there, Annie signed my pattern for me, which was so sweet. She signed a couple of patterns for us and took pictures, and I'll try to put those in when I talk about it. Okay, this was the other piece that I worked on at the retreat. I brought Wizard Cat from Lindy Stitches because I had gotten far enough on it that I really just needed to do a lot of fill-in, and it was perfect for the retreat. I love not having to count because I get way too distracted by all of my friends and everything going on. I didn't make as much progress on Venetian Lion as I could have because I had to count on that project. But this is Wizard Cat. You've seen it before. I'm stitching this one on 32 count Lugana from Fiberlicious Yummy Fibers in the colorway Cherrific. And I made quite a bit of progress on this one. I was able to fill in all of this. It was only about halfway filled in prior to the retreat. And then I came over and filled in this side and these two, and then started stitching this out a little bit. Like I traced this out. I added one of the words. I am a little bit torn on this banner here at the bottom. In the model, it is filled in with white, and I do like the look of that. It's just a lot of additional stitching. And so I will probably do maybe a little bit of that to see how I feel about it, but then come in and fill in the rest of this pattern so that I can make that decision by the end as to whether or not I want this banner filled in. I am definitely leaning towards filling it in, but I'm kind of like, ugh, it's at putting in all of those white stitches. So we'll see. Let me know what you think. Again, this one is charted in Cosmo floss. I got mine from Bernadette. She went to Japan and was able to source it there, but I think that you can source it through Lindy Stitches and a couple of other little needle workshops. So let me know if you have any issues finding that. I can help you look for it too. Let's see here. I think as far as progress goes, that's all I want to talk about for right now. So I'll talk a little bit about the retreat. It was held in Boise, and it started on Friday. I drove over on Thursday with my mom, and this was the very first retreat for both my mom and my sister. They didn't really know what to expect. They know that I've gone to stitching retreats for years and I love them, but I think they kind of just thought like, oh, I show up and I stitch all weekend. And I'm like, no, it's so much more than that. But they know now, and they both said that they really, really loved it. But I drove over with my mom. We checked into the Riverside Hotel on Thursday, and the hotel that it was held at was just amazing. It's an older hotel, but its campus is very, very large. It has lots of different buildings, and you can tell that when it opened, it was swanky. Like, it was so beautiful inside. Tons and tons of artwork lined the walls. I guess from what I've heard, they do lots of different like exhibitions throughout the year. And the exhibition that was held while we were there was paintings that were done with acrylics. And so as you walked through the hotel, there were just tons and tons of paintings and artwork that was done with acrylics hanging on the walls. And it was a lot of them were available for purchase. Some of them were not for sale. But it was a really cool way to showcase a lot of local artists. And not only that, the hotel had very, very nice artwork and decorations just built into it. A lot of the light fixtures were blown glass. One of the breakfast rooms had these beautiful Art Nouveau glass panels, like glass windows. It was so lovely. And it almost kind of felt resort-like because, you know, at the pool, they had like pool workers that were walking around that would take your drink order and your food order. There was a little cafe right off the side of the pool, and then they always had live music. Like everywhere you went, you could hear live music, which was really cool that they were sponsoring and helping a lot of local musicians get their talents out. So that was so fun. And then the grounds were really beautiful. It was right off of the river. And so when we were kind of feeling a little like stiff in our stitching seats, we would just get up and walk down the Greenbelt for a little ways. Not too far south from where we were, the city had kind of built up some of the river and made like a little rapid, and people were surfing the rapids. So we'd walk down and watch that. It was just, the whole area was so beautiful. And there were a lot of different restaurants within walking distance. The only time that we really ate off-site was the very first night that we checked in and lunch one day when we went out shopping. But other than that, we never really felt like we were limited in what we could eat. It was an awesome place. Let's see here. Friday, we checked in for the stitching retreat. And I love check-in day for a retreat because everybody is always so excited and so positive, and we were just meeting all sorts of people. We bought shirts for the retreat. I should be wearing it, but it was blue and it said Stitching on the River with a river graphic and a little mountain bluebird with a needle in its beak. And we sat at table number 3. We had fantastic women sitting at our table. There were another mother and daughter pair, Janet and Laura, and then we had Brenda and Katie and Denise. And I knew Denise because I met her at Stitch West back in April, and we realized that we both were from Idaho Falls. So I've gotten to know her. We have a few other things in common, but I've gotten to know her more over the last couple of months. And this was her second retreat. So I was so glad that she was able to join us. It was so much fun. And then me and my mom and my sister all sat there too. And it was just great. My table mates were so generous. I'm probably going to forget some of the things that they gave us, and I apologize in advance. But Janet and Laura made these really cute minders. They had a whole tray of different kinds. There were like rubber duckies and pool floaties, and I just got this really cute little popsicle. And then Denise gave us like a little pack of stitchy goodies. I feel like there was something else in here at the time. I can't remember, but these floss drops that were 3D printed by her son. So that's really fun. And then a tape measure. That's so cute. And there was something else in there, but I can't remember. And then Denise also gave everybody at the retreat these very beautiful counting pins that she made. So that was awesome. And then Katie gave us a little goodie bag of like a moon pie and some other little treats. And then she had made these little orc catchers that are like these little trash can looking things. And these are handmade, like awesome. I love it. And I just fiddled with it all weekend. It's fun to play with. And Brenda was also so generous and gave us these little thread beds. Have a little spot for your needle and soft felt for your thread. And then in here, she included some of these little doodads. I can't remember what they're called, but they hold your fabric onto your hoop and your Q-snap. And handmade beautiful scissor fobs. Look at how gorgeous. I love a good long scissor fob. I'm not dropping my scissors that way. And then these I thought were so fun too. It had this little gem on the side, and then inside a little spoolie for when you have to frog. You can kind of smooth out your fabric a little bit more. So that was so fun and so handy. I just kind of kept this next to me all weekend with my stitchy, like my retreat box, the one that I've shown you before. And I was good to go. I was so taken care of by my table mates. Brenda also gave us these little orc catchers. that snap together. And I grabbed this vegetable one because I thought, ooh, I'm going to throw that in with my garden sampler, or my alphabet one. Is that what it's called? Why am I blanking on that name? So cute. And then also these jar openers that she had made. So they've got like this little like grippy piece on the back. And then I got frogs and bugs because I thought, ooh, this is perfect for stitching on the river. So generous. I loved the ladies that we were sitting by. We just had the greatest time. Like, we had some really great conversations. It was so great to get to know everybody, and we had a lot of fun. This retreat did a really great job at incorporating like games into the event. So they had a game every morning where they hid like a little plushy bluebird somewhere in the room. And if you found it, you got like a little door prize, a little grab bag of stuff. And it really was a game for whoever came in first that morning, because I swear it got found like in the first 5 minutes of every day the retreat doors opening. But that was really fun. And then, finding out where they had hid it. And then they also played left, right, center. And they did it kind of in a unique way where Cheryl would roll the dice and then announce over the microphone the action of, whether you should pass one to your neighbor or put it in the center or keep. And we played it with skeins of DMC. And so everybody had to bring 3 skeins to play. And then we would just pass them. And whoever won at each table would win like a bouquet of DMC. So that was really super fun. Denise won at our table. Denise was like having the luckiest day on Friday, and I'll get to that a little bit more, but we just kept joking, like, of course Denise is gonna win because this is her day. So that was really fun. They did a great job of fostering community. The retreat was held by Maggie's on Main, and really kind of the face of it all was Jeanette and Cheryl, and and Maggie, of course. But they did so much work for it, and both of those two are just such lovely humans. I've gotten to know them in person at Stitch West, and I met Cheryl for the first time ever over FaceTime when she was helping my sister in the needle workshop. So I loved being able to catch up with them over the weekend, and they put in so much work, and it showed. It was a really, really fun retreat. Friday, was it Friday that we did? No, it was Saturday we did a Q&A with Annie, and that was really fun to get to know her better. She was super willing to answer any question. Like, even when, it kind of seemed to lag and the questions were done, she's like, no, ask me more, ask me more. She was wonderful. And we took some pictures with her in our table. I'll try to put them right here. And like I said, she signed our patterns. That morning, we also got to open our retreat box. So let me show you what that looked like. Wait, we opened our retreat box, I think I can't remember if it was Friday. It might have been Friday. But it looked like this, and inside were a ton of goodies. And I think I've emptied it, so I'll find, there's a couple things in here. So in addition to having Annie there, we also had another guest designer. We had Counting Puddles. I can't remember. Her name is Lindsay. I couldn't remember if it was Lindsay or Whitney, and Whitney is her last name. But Lindsay from Counting Puddles also included this design that I think is coming out for everyone else at Needlework Marketplace this fall. This is in a set of 3. There was a llama and a bear, and I can't remember what the other animal was. But we got this pattern, and then this was our retreat piece from Annie. So this was called Stitching on the River, or Stitching Along the River. And I imagine that this will be available to everybody at some point, but for right now it's an exclusive for us. And she was kind of just given a little bit of instruction from Cheryl, like, this is the theme of our retreat. It'd be really great if you could incorporate some Idaho things, like some Idaho wildlife. And so what she did is she kind of put some huckleberries in these bushes. She's got a couple of little mountain bluebirds in here, and some of our local wildlife, like a deer here, our river. And I can tell that this is going to be a finicky piece to stitch because there's so much confetti, but it really is so beautiful in person. This is not reading really great on my ring light, but I'll try to put a picture of the model right here. The model was stitched on 36 count on Dirty Ewe linen from Dames of the Needle, and they included in our retreat box all of the floss that we needed to stitch it, and then we could purchase the called for fabric after opening our retreat box. And so I just purchased a fat eighth of it, and I'll be able to stitch the piece on that called for fabric. Annie also included a second piece for us. It was so generous, but it's called Let Freedom Ring. And I believe that this was an early release as well. I think it'll be coming out at some point in the future. But that's in our same booklet with this piece. I will say for any of the stitchers that intend to start this but didn't start it at the retreat, flip through your booklet, because on my floss key, like, I don't think this will have a piece of the pattern on it. Let me just look. On my floss key, it kind of printed, oh, whoops, wrong side. It kind of printed a little wonky, and so it grayed out this part, and I just looked at my neighbors and wrote it in. And I thought, oh, that's kind of fluky, but then my sister next to me also had a different grayed out spot on her key. So just check your floss key, and if you need any of this information, like if yours is also grayed out, just shoot me a message on YouTube or on Instagram, and I can send you a picture of my floss key in case yours printed weirdly. So we got both of those patterns in our retreat box. We also got this retreat minder that was made by Stitchy Pros, Holly, and it turned out so cute. And it has like the strong neodymium magnets on the back, and so it worked out really nicely. And then also these beautiful scissor fobs that were handmade by a retreat attendee, but I cannot remember her name. I wish I remembered. Molly, maybe? I don't know. But she was a friend of Cheryl and Jeanette's, and she made these scissor fobs for everybody in their retreat box. And then, let's see, I'll show you the fabric. Now, again, this one wasn't included in our box, but it was available for purchase. I had the tiniest little start. I worked on his little hat. Oh, it's upside down. I worked on his little hat, and I actually might frog this blue bit because they're in kind of like pilgrimy New England type clothing. Not so much him, but I might give them more of like a Wild West frontier look. So I might change their clothing a little bit. But yeah, tiniest little start. This is Dirty Ewe from Dames of the Needle. Just a very nice, like, kind of natural looking linen. And then all of the called for floss. So there were a few DMC, some Weeks, and some Classic Colorworks all included in our floss pack. And if I remember correctly, there's enough floss in here for this pattern and the Let Freedom Ring, but the Counting Puddles one was called for in Trinway silks, which were not at the retreat. So if I decide to stitch that one, I'll just order the Trinway silks, which I haven't stitched with before, so that would be kind of fun to try those out. All right, let me just stick this in my folio here. I will probably get back to that at some point, but it's going to be one that I'm going to have to be like really focused because it does have a lot of confetti. And the retreat was not the right moment for that. I did not stitch nearly as much as I should have, or as I intended to. How's that? But I did have a really great time catching up with everybody. It was so nice to see Yvette and Alicia again. I've met them at Stitch West before. I spent a lot of time catching up with Nina and Laura and Cheryl and Jeanette and several of my like Boise area stitcher friends, and then just getting to know my table mates more. It was lovely. It was a really, really fun retreat. Let me see if there's anything else. Oh, I did do a little bit of shopping. They had kind of an annex from their shop that they had brought over, and it was mostly patterns and fabric and a few like needle minders and stuff, and then they had the only floss that they'd brought was from Cottage Garden Threads. But Annie had brought her whole trunk show, and she is working on the cat tarot right now, and she had some of her new releases available early. So the Hierophant and the Emperor I bought both of those. And what's kind of fun about this one is she has a flame point Siamese that is like her actual cat, and his name is Romeo. And she stitched him into this one. So that's kind of fun, just knowing that each cat is, you know, in her tarot somewhere. And so I picked those up. I really do want to start The Magician at some point and start working on that series. And so hopefully in the next few months I'll get to that one. I also picked up this pattern, and you've probably heard Cheryl and Jeanette talk a little bit about this one, but this one's called Good Heart, and it's coming out at Needlework Marketplace in the fall. But we intend to sell this one, and Annie let me know that if you want to join our sale and you can't get this yet, that you can reach out to her and that she might be able to let you purchase it early. I don't know. Ask Annie. She had just let me know that if somebody wanted this pattern, that they could reach out to her for the sale. So that one will be so fun. We haven't come up with a hashtag for it yet, but I know we're kind of thinking about planning for that one, thinking about starting it soon. So I'll collaborate with Cheryl a little bit more and share that either on my Instagram or on my next Flosstube. I also bought a couple cuts of fabric. So this one is an Atomic Ranch called Joy Lynn, and I really liked this. It's coming, it's reading close, but not quite. But it's kind of this mottled red, and it's not really like a vibrant red. It'll be really good for more of like a primitive piece. And so I bought that one thinking, ooh, I'll find something fun to stitch on that. And then I couldn't resist this one. This is a Dames of the Needle called Cosmic Platinum. And I really loved this one because it kind of had that grungy, dirty look. And I thought, ooh, this will be perfect for something kind of spooky. Like it's just giving me that like spooky vibe. I don't know, kind of hocus pocus like it makes me think of like the book. All right, so that one, I bought a 36 count cut of that. And then I got this one too, which is another Atomic Ranch called Blue Ridge. And this is a 36 count. And I bought this one specifically to restart my Hearts for Pam piece that I'm stitching with Jordan, the tattooed stitcher. So I'll use a part of this to stitch that instead of the Fortnite fabric that I had started it on. And then this isn't one that I bought. This was one that my sister gave me. It's a 28 count Monaco from Dyeing for Cross Stitch. That's just like an ice dyed, multicolored piece of fabric. I'm not a huge fan of stitching on Monaco, but I couldn't resist. I thought, ooh, this will be really pretty for some kind of like pixie or some kind of like Easter piece. I don't know what I'll stitch on it yet, but I like it. And I wasn't gonna say no to free fabric. The freebie table at this retreat was fantastic. People were so generous. And there were a lot of there was a Brenda Gervais pattern that my sister picked up. There were some blue flower patterns, lots of current designers and people, just sharing their patterns from that rather than reselling. I thought it was really lovely. The brag table was also fantastic. If I can figure out how to do it, I will insert a video of the brag table so that you can see some of the pieces that people stitched. People are just so talented. And I found myself drawn to the brag table several times over the course of the retreat because it was phenomenal. Some really incredible stitchers. Let's talk a little bit about the smalls piece, the smalls exchange. I told you a little bit about mine. I did that Sprouting Lupine river inspired small. And our table was table number 3, and I think we got called second or third for the smalls exchange. So I felt really lucky. But I picked a bag that had strawberries all over the outside of it and some really cute tissue paper. And inside there was this stitched bag with this strawberry on here. And that is not the whole stitched piece because there was this incredible beaded strawberry bling too that was not made. Oh, I should say this piece was made by Brooke. Brooke, I cannot remember your last name, but I'll put a picture in right here of Brooke and I. I have actually met Brooke before because she is often at Stitchery Express with Cindy, and so I had met her one night when I went shopping there. So that was really, really fun to have picked her piece. But she told me that someone else had helped her make this part. And then there's some floss jewelry and bling here, and some really lovely floss tags with kind of some different strawberry themed tags on them. So, so cute. I will definitely be using these. I might have to pick like something to go along with that strawberry moon cell. I know I missed it, but now I have all these strawberry goodies that I want to pick a piece to work on. And then that wasn't all, because there were lots of little goodies in here. There were some really cute scissors. I don't know if that's gonna focus, but very, very cute. And then this needle minder. And these, I think they're cotton, but variegated cotton flosses. So there's this green and this pinky red. So that'll be really fun. I'll incorporate those into something. But beautiful. These are from Norgrove Enterprises, which I've never even heard of, so I'm excited to try that. But thank you, Brooke. I loved my small. I am just blown away. It was such a fun smalls exchange. And like I said, this one was super positive. I think everybody really enjoyed what they got. And there were some really spectacular finishes. I was astounded particularly by one. It was a jar, and inside of it, someone had hand stitched some dice. Oh, it was gorgeous. Another person made like a whole portfolio to go with their small. There were a ton of bee themed smalls, and it was just kind of funny because there were so many honey and bee themed ones. My mom did a bee themed one. My sister did like a little like enchanted cottage one that had some bees and flowers and things on it. And they both turned out so cute. It was so much fun. Let me think if there's anything else that I need to tell you about from the retreat. I don't think so. I think I covered it. Cheryl and Jeanette both announced at the retreat that they are pursuing other adventures outside of Maggie's on Maine. And so I can highly suggest and recommend that you go check out Jeanette's new needle workshop, Bella Rose Needleworks, I believe. I will double check. If not, I'll put the correct one here. But she's taking pre-orders for Needlework Marketplace, and it would be fantastic if we could all give her new business a boost and pre-order from her. I'll probably pre-order mine from there. I still need to look at all the needlework releases and pick which ones I'm going to be purchasing. I am going to be a little bit on a budget freeze for a while until school starts again and those bigger paychecks are running in, but I'm still probably going to order some stuff from her. I do have a couple other acquisitions that I wanted to share with you. A while back, I joined the Bee Stitch Me Fabric Club of the Month. Fabric of the Month. And Fabric of the Month Club. That was what I was trying to say. And I got my first one for July, and this one is called Coconut Shell. I got it in 36 count, and it is beautiful. And I have to tell you, when I saw the title, I just kept thinking of that Kamala Harris quote of, "You think you fell out of a coconut tree?" It was very perfectly timed for the moment. Very nice job on the naming. So I got that one. I don't know what I'll start on it yet, but I have this lovely fabric to stitch something on. And I feel like it's going to be really perfect for Halloween, like something kind of dark and stormy maybe. I don't know. But I got that one. And then while I was at the retreat, I purchased a pattern from Night Spirit Studio. You've seen me stitch the Widow Frog before. I'll put another picture of that here. She released the kind of companion, but not quite companion to it. Like, how do you have a companion to a widow? But she did the widower frog. And so as soon as I saw this, I immediately hit purchase, and I am going to have to start hunting down a frame for it. I do actually have, I forgot to get that from Michelle, but Michelle, my sister, has the frame that I purchased a while back that is in white and cream and gold, but it's the same style of frame, and I may have to spray paint that one back black so that I have the two similar frames for Widow and Widower Frog. And I might try to hunt down the black frame again so that I'll have that one when I stitch it. Haven't started it yet, but I definitely intend to start and finish the widower frog. And then Reese right here is gonna have to move because he's sitting right on top of the other thing I bought for myself. Hold on, buddy. I could not resist when I saw when I saw Whip It Up post this bag. Just unreal. Unreal fabric. Look at those beefy Mothmen. Oh my gosh. I love it. I hit add to cart and bought it right away. And then this is the inside fabric. It's that red. She did a red zipper with it. And it is just fantastic. If you've never purchased from Whip It Up before, you're definitely getting a very high quality project bag because as you can tell, like it's thick. Like this is really thick batting and it's all quilted in there. They last a long time. And the vinyl is good too. Like sometimes I don't buy vinyl front bags anymore because I have had them transfer. But as long as you're careful to not like put it in the heat or in like kind of a humid or muggy environment with your pattern on this side, then you'll be okay. I live in a very, very dry climate, so I've only ever had that happen to me once. But I loved this fabric. I would have bought it regardless because come on, this is amazing. I intend to get a tattoo of Mothman at some point on my leg next to my aliens. It's just gonna be my cryptid leg. So that was definitely made for me. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I need to chat about stitching wise. I think we're good. Oh, nope, we're not. Okay, I forgot to mention that on Saturday at the retreat, we went to this fantastic craft store that's in Boise. It's called the Reuse Marketplace. And the whole ideology behind it, the whole philosophy behind it is keeping things out of the landfill and getting things back into the hands of crafters. So they get a lot of donations from people whose family has died and they're donating their craft supply or their craft stash. They get donations from people who are just like, I can't do this anymore. You know, my physical health has changed or my eyesight has changed, have all my stuff. They get so many different kinds of donations, and it's not all stitching. It's sewing patterns, quilting patterns, framing supplies, scrapbook supplies, beading things, like all sorts of different crafty hobbies end up at this marketplace, and their prices are so good, like so good. I have found some fantastic pieces there before, some birds of a feather, some just Nan, lots of floss. They've had Krynic in the past. They've had some silks in the past. And this time was no different. They were having a Christmas in July sale. And so I got a few things, but Denise was far and ahead the winner of the Reuse Marketplace that day because she has this ambition to stitch 7 shepherd's bush stockings over the course of this year to have for Christmas for her family. And then she also intends to stitch more at some point for, you know, future family members, future grandkids, that kind of stuff. And we walked in and there were so many shepherd's bush fully kitted stockings for phenomenal prices. So she was just able to like save so much money and add those to her stash, which are going to actively like be used. Like they're not going to sit in her stash. She is going to stitch them. So that was awesome. We were all so excited for Denise. But anyway, I bought this one that says, never a Christmas morning, never the old year ends, but someone thinks of someone, old days, old things, old friends. And I just thought, oh my gosh, this is so cute. Like it had the mat built in, it had the frame, and it has everything in there to stitch it. The fabric, I think the floss are in there, but if not, I've got so much floss. Like it will take me an afternoon probably to stitch it. And then I'll have this cute little old-fashioned Christmas decoration. There were also lots of like European cross-stitch kits there. So I got this one from Eva Rosenstand, and you can tell that this was initially a very expensive kit, but it is these little fawns. Oh, it's an older one. It's not, you can't see the picture very well, but it comes with the linen and all the floss. And then this European kit too, which was so fun. This is like a little bell pull of these weird, creepy little elves climbing a tree. But I love it. I'm totally gonna stitch this one. I love me some creepy vintage patterns. And this is just right up my alley. So, got this one for so cheap. I think it probably would have been, it was probably like $3 because everything was like half off for Christmas in July. And then I bought this shepherd's bush, which has all of the buttons that I'll need for it. And it's just another little Christmas one called Santa Berry Pudding. What a fun name. So super fun. This one was definitely not $9. It was probably like $5 because like I said, everything was on sale. I think that's all I got from there. But such a fun haul. I spent very little money and I walked out with several kits and patterns. So definitely check out the reuse marketplace. They not only like will ring you up, but they'll weigh everything that you buy. And then they keep track of how much weight they're keeping out of the landfill every year. And so it's just a really great business to support, and you can find some really awesome treasures there. I'm almost a little hesitant to tell people about it because I want all the treasures for myself. But I love their philosophy. I love their ideology. Go support them. Okay, let's think. I need to tell you a little bit about my adventures. I went over this last weekend, I went to Albuquerque and met up with my longtime friend Britt. She lived here just around the corner from me for many years, and we did all sorts of things together. She got me into quilting. She was my connection to getting my Bernina sewing machine. We would go to fancy parties at the museum. We just, lots of game nights at her house. Just a very good friend, very solid friend. And a few years back, she moved down to work at the lab down there. And I have been really missing her. And then not only had Britt moved down there, but her mom, who I was good friends with, and our other neighbor, Joe, that lived across the street from me. And so I went down and I was able to catch up with all of them. Britt had planned this really awesome itinerary. We spent the first night in a neighborhood called Nob Hill in Albuquerque. It was so cute. We stayed at this updated this retro style motel that had a pool, and it was totally updated and great. And then that night we went kind of to a few different bars. We went to a queer bar where we met a lot of awesome people, and we did a lot of dancing, had some delicious drinks. We ate at this fantastic Italian place. Oh my gosh, it was probably the best food I ate down there. But it was so good. And then the next day we went to Santa Fe, and I had no idea how artistic Santa Fe is. Incredible art markets and galleries everywhere we went. I bought some jewelry, and Britt led me through some of her favorite galleries, and she took me to one. She's like, I know you're gonna love this. But it was this artist, and I'll try to put in maybe some pictures and the artist's name because I can't remember it off the top of my head. But they use embroidery to make fantastic artwork, and they use different panels and piecing and applique, and each piece was so unique and so stunningly gorgeous. There were so many shades in a lot of these different art pieces that just blew me away. And so that was so fun walking through that gallery. We went to Meow Wolf that night in Santa Fe, and that was so fun. Oh my gosh. I can't even really describe it. It's like an interactive art installation that tells a story, like a roundabout story. Now, I couldn't follow the storyline. I was just messing with everything in every room, but it does tell a story. I definitely know there were portals and alien abductions, maybe, I don't know, but it was incredible. It was so fun to walk through that. I was lollygagging around because I could not make up my mind which way to go, and Britt's like, you and Joe, you have to make decisions. We need to see all of this. Let's go this way or let's go this way. But it was so cool. And then we went out dancing again that night at Goth Night. I'm not goth, but I had a great time dancing to Depeche Mode, and the cocktails were fun. It was a great time. And then Sunday we went hiking. Well, we went for like a very lazy hike. It was like, I don't know, like 3 or 4 miles round trip out to this little like watering hole that we swam in a little bit with her dogs. And we went to some breweries in Los Alamos, and then we had this like very chill game night at her house. And it was just exactly what I needed. It felt like old times, like connecting with my friends, and it really kind of helped me fight the summer sads and recenter myself a little bit. So I was just very grateful to have a weekend away. I don't know if I have a lot of other adventures to share. I'm sure that I do. I've gone camping a little bit. I'm headed out camping tomorrow for some more adventures, and I'm just trying to fit in as much as I can before I head back to my school job. So we'll see how it goes. But anyway, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening to me ramble. Please check out and support the stitchers and designers that I've mentioned. I'll try to list everything in the description box with some links that you can follow to support those businesses. And thank you again for subscribing and commenting on my videos. I still have a few comments to respond to on my last video. I am grateful for every comment I get. I've been so busy I haven't had a chance to respond, but I really appreciate everyone's positivity, especially sharing last time being kind of vulnerable about having like a sad, depressive time this summer. Everyone was so kind, so I really appreciate it. I will try to be back again before the end of the summer. The next couple of weeks, I'm going to be pushing to get that wedding sampler done and also to get everything finished up in anticipation of the fair, because I will enter some of my pieces into the fair on like the 23rd or something like that. So I'll share all of those adventures with you as well. In the meantime, happy stitching, and I'll catch up with you soon. Bye.